And welcome into the Week 8, closing out the week with some Monday Night Football, which should be a fun game. I mean, it's like a 10-point difference, but there's no reason we shouldn't think, unless this offensive line for the Giants just completely falls apart, there's no reason we shouldn't think that we should at least see points from both teams in this one. Vegas is saying that, with each team projected for 3 touchdowns, 30-plus points for the Chiefs and their team total. So should be a fun game. Should be a fun Monday Night Football game in terms of just fantasy purposes. And a lot of players are involved tonight. But it's really easy to compress your interest pool, your player pool, because there's a lot of guys overpriced because of the questionable tags on one, Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard, who are expected to play. So you can just kind of cut out like Dante Pettis and all these guys who are overpriced, right? Even Evan Ingram to an extent. So it makes it a little bit easier to get to some of these other players. So I see some people hopping up in the chat. How you doing? One away from the Dollarooski says, what's going on? Hairline is back. Let's go. Yeah, it's back. Finally. I need all the Dollarooskis. Yeah. What's going on? Somebody says, where's my Gator fans? Says Dave. He says, Tony for Prez. Oh, Tony for President. Damn. We're anointing president after a game and a half of nice production. Okay. Gone ahead and hit the like button for you, Sal. Appreciate that, Charles. Alrighty. So, yeah, we have this slate here. $1 million back into the DraftKings community up for grabs to first place tonight. I have a good amount of props action. I posted a Twitter thread earlier. Really good day yesterday in props. Last minute, I added even Sunday night. Didn't really watch the game. Tracked on my phone here and there. Zeke under 18 fantasy points based off the projections. And then under 3.5 receptions for Dalvin Cook, which was just a smash. I don't even think he had one reception. Might have had one. I think he had 0 on one target. So that just made an extra $600 on the night slate after binking the 5-pick flex that we took on the live stream Sunday, $200 to make $2,000. So very good day in the prop streets. We're trying to turn it around or keep it going today. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, 18.5 rushing yard prop that we got this morning on Prize Picks is just a steal and a half, right? Let's get this money. You look like $1 million, my guy. I appreciate that. Look what I got. I got this little. It's not going to look as good from where you guys are. It's a little disco ball. It's not necessarily for the studio. I got it for when we do pre-games out there, like for Halloween and stuff, and just any other weekends. It doesn't look as strong as it actually is because the blur effect on the camera, plus it's a little bit further behind me. But yeah, I mean, we got a little disco ball action going on in here. We could change the colors and all the types that it's going to be putting out there, but got a little party time whenever, if I ever am live during games, like if the next London game, if anybody ever scores, we can have a little party, right? Little party, turn off the disco ball. I feel like it's going to be too annoying for everybody watching all the lights going around me. What's up, my guy? Let's go ahead and get the Dollarooskies. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? What percent of your bankroll should you play on Showdown slates? Teach me. Yeah, what's going on, Dave? I think I have a pretty open stance. I've developed it over the last 2 or 3 years that I think bankrolls are just a silly concept. It's bankroll management is important, but what that really just means at the end of the day is not becoming addicted to sports betting and DFS, right? Like understanding how much you're willing to lose in a given day, in a given slate, in a given month, and being able to manage that, like manage your emotions more so. Like I don't keep a certain amount of money in DraftKings. I rarely have any money in DraftKings, right? You don't get charged for taking it or leaving it. So I'll just leave it in a PayPal most of the time, right? So most of the time I'll keep money, like I have a couple grand in there, but I'm not keeping $20,000 in DraftKings. I'll keep it in either my bank account, which I find very secure, or PayPal, which I find very secure. I think DraftKings is secure, but why not just keep it in a more secure place, right? At least where it's insured. If something was to happen to DraftKings, I personally don't believe that they will insure your money. So with that said, how much are you willing to lose? Are you willing to lose $100 a day? Okay, we'll play then $100 a day. Are you only wanting to lose like whatever it might be, right? If you're somebody who's playing this for a living and you are going 150 lineups every single day and your bankroll is $100,000 and that's what you have set aside for DFS because this is what you're growing, this is what your goals are to actually make that money. If it's that specific, yes. But for 99% of people, it's not, right? So it's how much you're willing to lose. So for me, it might be somewhere around some number around like, I don't know, in a given day, I play, depending on the slate, $2,000 to $5,000. So if I lose all that, I'm okay to lose that, right? But it's going to depend very much on yourself. So I don't really think too much on bankrolls. I used to think so, but I don't know. Most people, if I tell them that their bankroll's $1,000 and I tell them that you should only play 2% of that a given night, and you're playing $20 a night and you're not having fun, then just change it up, right? DJ versus Kelsey, I must know. DJ versus Kelsey, like Daniel Jones, I'll take Daniel Jones there. Yeah, I mean, show us your player props. Yeah, they're on Twitter. We'll show them during the stream as more people get in here. Time to ditch the pumpkin. Yeah, it's getting pretty rotten. I mean, it's still, we'll leave it there until it gets a little bit too bad. But it's still the harvest season and Thanksgiving. 50K kind of night. Hey, yo, what's up? Sal just became a Hall of Fame Patreon member. Pablo, round of applause to you. Yeah, we're crushing it. Record-setting month on Patreon. We're going to keep going. We love it. Upgraded to Hall of Fame package optimizer, won first place and cash 5K a couple days later. Damn, you're the cheddar man. Nice gob, Keenan. We love to hear that. How's Halloween? Have a couple brewskis? Yeah, good amount. The problem with Halloween was the fact that the next day was a Sunday, so I had to get up early. Like, I got up at like 6 a.m. and did all the Patreon Closing Thoughts podcast, all the updates I needed to do, and then the live stream at 9:30. But I didn't go to bed till like 2, so I got 4 hours of sleep. So my Halloween, the actual day, I was like just a dead body all day watching football. Sal, Pringler or Demarcus Robinson for value today. They're like the same. There's a couple of plays today that are like the same fucking play to me. Like, I know I'm going to get a lot of questions today, and they're basically the same fucking play. Like, I know I'm going to get questions on Kadarius Toney or Sterling Shepard today. My honest answer for you is these guys are like the exact same play today. Like, same price point, same projection for me, same exact ownership amount. So I probably lean Toney for the upside of downfield passes on the outside and use it an upside there, just from what we've seen, at least when he's in the game, to win out on the outside. But I know DeMarcus Robinson versus Byron Pringle will be asked. If price point doesn't matter, I find these guys very similar. I'm just going to assume that you care about the extra money that you will save on DeMarcus Robinson, and I'll say DeMarcus Robinson plays more snaps, runs more routes. He's cheaper, projects out the same. It's interesting, right? Does ownership make Booker and Williams interesting? I think it makes them both interesting, but for different reasons. I think it makes Booker very unappealing, like interesting in terms of his ownership is higher than I thought. So I think it makes Booker very unappealing for the price tag. Maybe not like a worst play in the slate caliber, but just not as good as I thought it would be. I think that Darrell Williams is just a fine play. I think that he's just a fine play. I don't think that he's a elite play on this slate by any means. I think that Darrell Williams just becomes a fine play. So Williams just looks fine. The ownership is kind of where it should be. Booker's maybe a little bit over-owned. So, yeah, I was actually surprised. I think Darrell Williams is still a good play. I took his over 13.5 fantasy points in a couple different props. This one's with Daniel Jones completions. This one, or actually that might be the only one because I took Daniel Jones and then Mahomes over rushing yards, which is, even if it's at like 21 now, it's still an amazing prop. I mean, I have Mahomes for the 30s right now, like 28, 29 rushing yards, close to the 30s. I added this prop on Twitter. You could have seen it. I think Tyreek's over looks really appealing, and I think Kadarius Toney's doesn't look extremely appealing, but it is one that once it popped up, I thought it was okay. I believe they probably added receptions by this point, but we'll see. Greetings from Germany. Have any Toney at captain? Yeah, Toney is one of the 4 captains that I'm running tonight. He is my 4th highest owned captain, but even then I'm still getting a good amount. I think there's a big decision tonight to be made if you want to run Patrick Mahomes captain or not. He's expensive, of course, but you have all the value in the world, right? It's not great value, but it's Byron Pringle, it's Jerick McKinnon, and it's DeMarcus Robinson. And there's a really good chance that one of those 3 value pieces does get you for their price tags, like 6 to 8 points that you need out of them, right? So I think that Mahomes' captain spots look very appealing. Mahomes or Tyreek are the best captain play in the slate. If you're talking about how many times this actually pays off for you, right? And when you factor in Tyreek's ceiling and his median projection of being the second highest projected player in the slate by a decent amount, and then Mahomes just being the highest projected player in the slate, the consistency that he has in terms of scoring 25-plus points like it's nothing in like 90% of his DraftKings outings. So, yeah, I think that they're the 2 obvious plays on the slate at the captain spot. They're the ones that far majority of the time, percentage-wise, are going to get you there. I think there's a couple other decent plays. I think Daniel Jones is decent. I'm personally just going to choose his receivers. So I'm running 4 captains tonight. As of right now, Shepard, Toney, Mahomes, and Tyreek. I think those are the best captain options personally on the slate, factoring in everything. A big decision is if you want to run Mahomes or not. If you don't run Mahomes and you just run those 3 receivers, you'll obviously get more compressed and condensed ownership on them. Yeah, so if it's the Tyreek nuclear game, it's clearly him. If it's the Tyreek just has a nice 9-catch, 80-yard, maybe a touchdown day, and he's in optimals but not the captain, that's where Mahomes can start to spread the ball around, 350 yards, all that type of stuff. Do you like Ingram tonight? I think that Evan Ingram is the, outside of the obvious worst plays on the slate, like outside of the Dante Pettis price tag and all these other receivers that they are priced as if potentially Sterling Shepard and Toney miss, like Dante Pettis and John Ross. Outside of those guys, I think that Evan Ingram is the worst play on the slate. He's overpriced for his actual role. He just had the best game of the season with 8 targets, 6 catches, 40 yards. He's not used downfield, just 1 target of 20-plus yards this season. He's undersized at the tight end position, can barely break tackles. Obviously, the drops history from his rookie year and last year are concerned. Only 1 drop this year, though. I think Evan Ingram's price point makes him the worst play on the slate when you factor in everything, like actual plays that will pick up ownership. Your biggest fade tonight? Yeah, I mean, we're kind of on that topic right now. I think that, I mean, outside of John Ross and Colin Johnson and Dante Pettis and these guys who are clearly overpriced for now not being in the same roles they were, right? DraftKings preventively, or whatever the word is, I can't even think of the fucking word, is trying to get out in front of if these injuries actually happen is the definition of the word I'm thinking of. But yes, you get Evan Ingram, I think, being like the worst play in the slate after that. How come you aren't high on Kelce? I am. I mean, I have a good amount of Kelce. It's just deciding between all these expensive guys. I have 30% Travis Kelce today. My current ownership projection on him is 50. So I guess I'm not high on him. So you're right. I'm not. But I'm not like fading him. I'm just below the field. I'm not getting 0%. Patrick Mahomes is a way better play. Tyreek Hill's a way better play. Daniel Jones is a better play today when you factor in everything. When you factor in the price points, when you factor in the ownership, and when you factor in the projection. I mean, I have Travis Kelce for 1.5 points less than Daniel Jones. We haven't really seen Travis Kelce have a ceiling this year. We've seen Travis Kelce slow down. If you, in terms of listening to anybody who watching tape yourself, Travis Kelce has slowed down. Travis Kelce has an interesting route concept in terms of what he has dominated in the past. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Guy's 32 plus years old. So he's still fine. A bunch of games of 17 points. And if he scores 17 or 18 today, I think he can be a potential optimal in your utility spot. But that's assuming that he can outscore Tyreek and or Mahomes and or Daniel Jones. He can do that. I think that he can do it about 30% of the time. I think that he'll be a little bit overowned today, Travis Kelce, because of his name value. He's overpriced. Like Kelce on these types of slates is normally like $9,600, $9,400. He's never usually this $10,600 player. It's even more interesting now that like he's not producing as that player, but now he's expensive. So yeah, obviously I think Kelce has the 2 touchdown upside as he always does. That's why I have 30%. But somebody has to be left out, right? When you're talking about Tyreek, Mahomes, and Kelce, somebody's going to be left out in terms of not getting a lot of all of them. You just can't. They're all three are expensive. You can't have all your lineups having all three. The guy that I think deservingly so should be left out between those three, factoring in the format we're playing in a showdown slate. It's not the tight end position where he has a leg up like on main slates on all the other tight ends. It's a showdown slate where Tyreek has a better projection and definitely a better ceiling. Same thing for Mahomes. Tony ownership, sure. I currently have Tony projected to be 38% owned by the field. My ownership on Kadarius Toney is 50%, so I'll be above the field. Kelce leverage at captain? No, I actually think Kelce is one of the worst leverage captains on the slate. I think you're going to see Kelce be over-owned. Like you, if you're tuning into this thinking that Kelce will be under-owned today because of where he's priced, you are probably just like sharp, right? You're sharp. Like you're thinking that you're trying to find the pivot. It's not the case. The public likes Travis Kelce. The public knows Travis Kelce. Record-setting year last year, right? Great player facing the Giants. They stink, right? Okay, so Travis Kelce is going to be over-owned, in my opinion. Not by a lot, but he'll be over-owned as of my latest, at least, ownership update. So, yeah, it's not going to be higher owned than these other guys up there, but those guys should appropriately be at that spot. I think that Travis Kelce will be a little bit over-owned in the captain spot tonight. Kyle Rudolph about to get traded to the Packers, somebody says. I mean, that would be dust. I mean, they already have Joshua DeGuire. I mean, Kyle Rudolph is a ball of dust. I don't know if you've watched that man run. So I don't think that they should ever trade for him, give up any capital for that man. Hardman, hard fade, Sal? Not at all. No. Hardman's a very good play today. I mean, he's $4,800 running 30 routes a week in the Chiefs offense as a guy seeing almost 6 targets a week. Like, you can't fade that, especially when he's not picking up all that much ownership. Like, I think Hardman is... All of the cheaper Chiefs today are going to be your best leverage plays. Jerick McKinnon, Byron Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, and McCole Hardman. All 4 of those guys are probably the 4 best leverage plays in the slate. Why? Because nobody knows which one is going to be the guy. So all of them are coming in a little bit under-owned because the ownership is spread out on all of them. So all of them are coming in a little bit under-owned. I don't know which one's going to be the guy. I know Byron Pringle is going to run 16 routes. I know Robinson's going to run around 25 to 30 routes, right? I know McKinnon's going to run 12 to 15 routes. I don't know which one is going to catch a touchdown, right? I don't know which one is going to have the big 20-plus yard catch. None of us do. That's why, hopefully, you have enough randomness on. So if you're playing 20 max to 150 max, you get a little bit of all of them. Since Tyreek is so boom or bust, do you think you should just use him as captain if you use him? I think you could use him in any department. I'm using him as captain and also in utility. I have Tyreek 31% utility ownership. Captain is around 20%. So I think he's fine in both formats. I mean, Tyreek Hill has plenty of 18 to 24 point games, right? Including this year. So there's ways that also, I mean, you can have Tony and Shepard who are cheaper. They can easily go for a 100-yard and or a touchdown game, and they've got 30 points, and they're way cheaper, and it allows you to fit in Kelce and Tyreek and Mahomes into those types of lineups, right? So, no, I don't think you have to just assume that it's either Tyreek getting you 10 points or 40. There's definitely a range in between where he can go for 20s and 24s, right? Sal, my man, what underdog props are you winning those rookies tonight? Those Rooskies tonight, I believe is how you wanted me to pronounce that. These are the underdog props I have currently. We might add one during the stream. Mahomes over 23.5 rushing yards. Obviously, we got the 18.5 earlier today on Prize Picks. That was the best number you're going to find. It is now gone. The reason I took it again over here was Mahomes is still the best prop on Kansas City at 23.5 on Underdog, and I really wanted the Kadarius Toney 49.5. So I took Toney on Underdog at 49.5. I then went over to Prize Picks. I saw that he was at 50.5. That's why I went to Underdog to check, and I took it, got the better number. It's only 1 yard, which a lot of people might say, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're betting, I'm probably betting each week like 50 props. That extra yard is going to probably burn you once a week, so 4 times a month. So that's my average bet's 50 to 100. So it's $200 I'm out, like, right, a month. So that extra yard, if you're playing a high quantity, matters. I took it again as well over 50 on here because it was the best prop out there that I saw and wanted to pair it up with Tyreek, which I really liked later in the day once some more props started to get posted. Hardman projected ownership. Yeah, I think it'll be lower than it should be. I have Hardman projecting out for about 30% ownership right now. All these guys are going to be lower than they should be. McKinnon's going to be too low owned. All of them. They're all going to be too low owned because nobody knows which one's the one to go to. And Giants are going to showcase Evan Ingram tonight to trade before the deadline tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's a cute narrative. I don't actually buy into it. It's all these same narratives, right? The Colts are showcasing Marlon Mack. He got 6 carries for like 20 yards. So they showcased him. What did it do, right? Like Evan Ingram had 8 targets last week. Why wasn't that his showcase, right? And what he did produce on that when nobody was active, when there was no Toney, when there was no Saquon, when there was no Kenny Galladay, when there was no Shepard, he produced 6 catches for 40 yards. Like, this is just not a good player. Evan Ingram at $5,400 is a touchdown or bust. I don't know who would trade for Evan Ingram. He is not a good player. People thinking that the Packers will trade for Evan Ingram, from what I've seen from that organization being sharp in terms of who they trade for, there's no shot. Like, we think about Evan Ingram from a high draft pick, a good fantasy commodity sometimes when he's healthy. He's not a good real-life tight end. He is not. He's an undersized wide receiver, right? He doesn't block. So, like, if you're getting a tight end, you would like the guy to at least block. And if he can't block, you better be an elite pass catcher. And Evan Ingram, in his career, has like 40 drops in like 4 seasons. So the guy has shaky hands and he can't block. What is he bringing you at the tight end position? Absolutely nothing. So if a team can get, like, if I'm a Packers fan, if the Giants take a 6th-round pick for him, I'll say, sure, we'll take a flyer on him. 6th-round pick, why not? They're going to want like a 4th-round pick for Evan Ingram. No shot. Evan Ingram is a bad football player. Compared to me, he's elite. He's fantastic. Compared to the rest of the tight ends and players in the NFL, massively overrated because of where his draft capital is. Again, the tight end position. You need to run block. You need to pass block. He can't do either. You need to be able to catch the football. He sometimes does. Bad, right? Doesn't check any of the boxes. The shirt is fired. Thank you. 1 yard matters. Carson Wentz in overtime. Yeah, I didn't have any props on Carson Wentz, but did he like just miss a bonus or something? But yeah, 1 yard's matter, right? Do you think Booker and Williams go over 60 rushing yards today? I don't like either of those numbers. I don't like the over or the under. It's just not something that stands out to me as a good play. By far the best in the biz. Patreon is amazing, says Reeve. Reeve, I appreciate you a ton. Yeah, if you're not a Patreon, the best time to sign up is the 1st of the month. Your budget's in order, the week's in order, everything, right? Get it all set up. Who are the Giants' captains? For Showdown, in real life, I have no idea. For Showdown, I like Toney and I like Shepard. I think Daniel Jones is an okay captain option. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I'm just personally choosing to not soak up some of my captain exposure there. I really usually like to stick to like 3 to 4 captains. Sometimes I have 5, but like that 5th guy's like 5% owned. So that's where I like to stick with my captains tonight. I think it's primarily the decent captains. I don't even think they're that great, but like I think Toney and Sterling Shepard are fine captain options today. The problem is when Patrick Mahomes or Tyreek Hill are on slates, on Showdown slates, it's really hard to not fucking like them. Like, do you know Tyreek Hill's ceiling games? You automatically lose if you don't have him in the captain spot. Like, you just lose. Even if you have him in the utility, you're probably losing because he's usually 20% owned in the captain spot, right? Play Toney and Shepard? If so, do you need Jones a captain? I don't think you need Jones a captain if you play both of those guys. If you play a 3rd Giants pass catcher, then you're going to need Jones in there and probably remove one of the Giants pass catchers. I think you can get away with Toney and Shepard without him because of their price tags. If Toney and Shepard each have 60 yards and like 5 catches and find the end zone, one of them finds the end zone, right? Like, there's a lot of ways this works for you. Toney can have 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Obviously, he's in the winning lineup. Shepard can have 8 catches for 60 yards as a guy who sees lower 8-out targets in the slot. 14 points. He can be in the winning lineup without Daniel Jones, right? Max salary you're willing to use. It depends on the contest. If you're playing small field, you can use close to all of it, depending on how small the field is. Like, if it's 200 or less, you don't have to worry about salary too much to get different. If you're playing in the Millie Maker, probably at least $700 on the table in all my lineups. Best New York Giants player value option. Factoring in value, I think the best Giants player today it's a toss-up between Shepard and Toney. Like, they're literally back-to-back in my rankings. All the value today is really coming in on the Chiefs, like actual value for what their price tags are. The Giants are more so appropriately priced to slightly overpriced at some spots, mainly those receivers and Evan Ingram. But, I mean, if you're a Patreon member, you can see right now, Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney are literally back-to-back. They have similar, like, I think Toney comes in with a little bit more ownership, but I think that's justified for what his ceiling is. He'll be seeing more downfield targets. I think he operates on the outside, not exclusively. I think they'll both move in and out, but I think at the end of the day, you see maybe Shepard in the slot for 65% of his snaps, which means maybe a higher catch percentage, which means maybe he catches 6 balls tonight, and Toney's only catching 5, but Toney's are an extra 10 yards down the field, right, his targets. So at the end of the day, those guys are the same play today. Everything that I'm looking at in terms of analytics, in terms of the actual matchups and all that, these guys look very similar. Their projections are within a half a point of each other for me. Their price tags are $200 difference. Their ownerships are within 5%. These guys are the same fucking play, right? Toney versus Shepard and Captain single entry? Yeah, exactly. Like, Toney is going to have bigger upside in terms of scoring quick. Shepard probably sees more volume. But at the end of the day, they look exactly similar. So, like, Toney versus Shepard today, I think I have, let's see. I currently have more Shepard by literally 3%. So, luckily, I don't have to make that decision. In single entry, I probably just play both of them. Like, if I'm playing 2 Giants today, it's probably those 2 if you're not playing Daniel Jones. Are you above the field on McKinnon today? Most definitely I will be, yes. I have 28% McKinnon. I don't think he comes in that high. I have him at 16% projected. One player you'd put money on to score a TD. Well, I personally did not bet on a single player today on their touchdown props. So the actual answer, if we're talking literally, is nobody. If you're talking hypotheticals, if I would put money on a single player in this game to score a touchdown today, it would probably be Tyreek Hill. What are your thoughts on Casey's recent performance on offense and all the turnovers? Yeah, I don't really care for fantasy. If you're talking about real life, I think it balances out. I don't think it's as simple as saying once their turnovers are fixed, they'll be back to the team that they were. No, I think teams have pretty quickly figured out how to, 1, take away Tyreek Hill, cover 2. It's simple as that. Let Travis Kelce catch 6-7 balls a game, and he has 60 yards, and then wait for him to make a mistake, and they're just making a lot right now. But I think teams have been able to neutralize Tyreek Hill. I think the fact that their drafting and their general manager is not good is clearly showing right now. And maybe not good, but overrated. Like, who have they drafted? Outside of Patrick Mahomes, what have they done in the draft? They've wasted early picks on McCole Hardmans, on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? They've signed massive contracts to Frank Clark, who is maybe the worst contract in the NFL right now. So, I mean, what is wrong with the Chiefs? Their management has failed them the last 3 to 4 to 5 years in terms of bringing in players, in terms of finding low contracts at valuable positions. I mean, they've been playing fucking Daniel Sorensen for the beginning of the year. Terrible, right? And also drafting. So I think it's their management. In terms of on the field, yeah, they have more turnovers than you can expect from them. Mahomes is trying to extend the plays too much, all this stuff. In terms of fantasy, it's fine. I think they're going to be able to continue to score points like they have been in every single game but one this year. Thoughts on Elijah Penny? I think he's a 240-pound fullback that sees 4 to 5 touches for about 20 yards today. If he luck boxes his way into the end zone, that's the only way he probably has any chance. I'm not interested. Hey, Sal, best place to message you if you bought Patreon at the end of the month to prorated. Thanks. Yeah, on Patreon. Patreon message, my man. Favorite captain on SuperDraft tonight, Toney and the running backs. The best play on SuperDraft tonight is going to be Darrell Williams and Toney, yeah, in terms of captains. Yep. We'll track the SuperDraft field as we go. But I think that either Toney or Williams in the captain spot makes a lot of sense. I mean, these multipliers on these running backs are insane, yeah. So, I mean, vice versa, whichever one you want to go here, I think that's kind of your best start tonight, factoring in their multipliers on SuperDraft. I think that's your best start. That's probably where I would go. Thoughts on Pettis? I think Pettis is the actual worst play on the slate. Assuming that Shepard and, like, I know I said Evan Ingram, but that was, I put the disclaimer out there, assuming we're not talking about Pettis and John Ross and Colin Johnson, these guys who aren't going to play. Like, Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney are expected to return tonight. If that is indeed the case when the inactives come out in about 28 minutes, then Dante Pettis' price tag is about $5,000 too much, right? They drafted the O-line well. I mean, their O-line was decent. Most of that O-line was bought this offseason, right? Like, obviously, Mitchell Schwartz and all that stuff brought over, Bears, all that, when he was in the league. But, I mean, they drafted 1 to 2 O-line pieces, and then they rebought that offensive line over the last year and a half to 2 years. So I would say they did a maybe like above average job at drafting the offensive line, building it up. Yeah, I mean, you should. Like this offseason, they put a lot into it. Now, injuries and other things have shown that that offensive line is not as good as they would wished. It's still fine. Do we have any news on Shepard and Toney? No, you'll get that news at 5:50 when the inactives are announced. The inactives have to be announced an hour and a half before kickoffs. Would you go Jones or Tony at captain? If I had to choose one, I'd go Tony. Have a feeling Casey is going to hang a 40 tonight. Yeah, probably. Any Ross tonight? No. He's a very bad play. Would you play Pringle and Robinson in the same lineup? No, I would not. Any love for Ingram? No, I do not like him. Who do you project for more snaps between Robinson and Pringle? Robinson has played 70% of the snaps this year to Pringle's 30, so I'll say Robinson. When you said DeMarcus Robinson is out there running wind sprints, I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, yeah, that's what he does the majority of the game. Yeah. Thoughts on playing both quarterbacks with Mahomes captain? I think that's okay. I mean, you're going to have to find some salary relief, but there's a lot of it on the slate. None of it is secure, but there's really good salary relief on the slate. There's a good amount of options. You just don't know which one's going to be the one. Like I have McKinnon and Robinson and Pringle all projected for around 5 points. One of them will get you there tonight, probably, maybe 2. Upgraded to Hall of Fame, even though your other contact is just an amazing, took down first place. This video is great, but Patreon is a must. Love you, sir. I appreciate that, Robert. You're very kind. You're very kind, my man. Yeah, if you're not a Patreon member, I mean, the army of Patreon has grown a shit ton over the last 2 or 3 months once football started. 1,077 patrons as of saying this right now. So, I mean, just think about it this way. Like, you're going to be versing those 1,077 patrons in your single entries, your 3 max, your any tournaments tonight, maybe even head-to-heads if you're unlucky enough to get them there. And they're coming to war with everything. Understanding leverage, understanding the ownership and projections and matchup notes tonight. I mean, these videos are also supposed to help you, but it's just a totally different level of intel if you are a Patreon member. I mean, you have a massive percentage leg up. I don't know the exact amount, but you get the disco party going. You got a massive leg up. Von Miller traded to the Rams. Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's been stinking, but obviously they're in massive win now mode, the Rams. I mean, their books are just completely cooked right now. Playing Giants D, a bad move? Yeah, I don't like them today. I don't have any Giants D. Think Josh Gordon will come out of nowhere and run as many routes as Pringle and Robinson? No. I mean, that's just wishful thinking, I think. I don't think there's anything from his play in the field. I don't think there's anything from the overall usage that shows that. I mean, Byron Pringle and DeMarcus Robinson are better players than Josh Gordon right now, right? You just don't come out of, like, not seriously caring about football for 6 to 7 years, 5, somewhere in there, that he's, like, actually seriously cared, been in football shape. You don't just take 2.5 years off of football, and guys who've been playing day in and day out at camp, taking reps against other defensive backs in the NFL, playing in games against other guys. You're just not better than those guys after 3 weeks of running a total of 10 routes through 3 weeks in a couple of camps, right? You're just not. Yeah. What's your thoughts on Slayton? No one has been talking about him at all. Darius Slayton today, yeah, I think there's a reason why nobody's talking about him. He's just kind of properly owned. He's overpriced and properly owned. I think that Darius Slayton is, just going to be, that's about it. Like, there's nothing more to say about Darius Slayton. He's like a better play than Evan Ingram, but that's like kind of about it. I would much rather have DeMarcus Robinson, Sterling Shepard, McCole Hardman, all these other guys over him. He's going to operate as the wide receiver 3 tonight. That should net him 5 targets, right? Think the Packers will beat the Chiefs? Who knows? I don't even know who's favored in that game. I'm sure you can look at the look-ahead lines. It's in Kansas City, so I assume they're favored. My guess is that they lose that game because they'll be underdogs, so that's what Vegas is going to project. But it should be a fun game. Can the Jets cover or even win 2 weeks in a row? We shall see. Favorite SuperDraft plays tonight? Yeah, the running backs and Kadarius Toney look best. That looks best on SuperDraft tonight so far. You probably answered this already. How much Toney captain are you getting? I think I have about 17% in 150s. 17%. He's my 4th highest owned captain. Let's talk a few quick hits about SuperDraft. Yeah, the running backs and Toney look good tonight. Yep, running backs and Toney on SuperDraft look good tonight. Those are my 3 of my 4 highest projected players. Quarterbacks are fine. Multipliers are never good over there. Kickers are not as important on this slate as they normally are. Buckner looks better over there for obvious reasons of projection. But yeah, the running backs multipliers, Tony Shepard, those guys multipliers are too high. So who do you think has the highest chance captain to be in the winning lineup? The highest chances of being in the winning lineup today, I think it's really close between Mahomes and Tyreek in terms of captain. I think you make your decision based on how big the field entry is. If you're playing in like a 100-person single entry, it's probably more so leaning to Mahomes for safety reasons because he's likely to not just score 5 or 10 points like Tyreek could potentially score. Mahomes has a pretty safe floor outside of that last game. Like you're looking at 20 points. So, yeah, I would say that if you're in a decent-sized single entry, 500,000 plus people somewhere in there, Tyreek Hill probably looks like the best captain on the slate. If you're in really low stuff, if you're playing cash games tonight, it's probably Mahomes. I think that Mahomes and Tyreek Hill are coin flips for captain tonight. I think they are significantly the best captain plays on the slate. I think that the Giants receivers are probably after that. Darrell Williams, I'm not playing him in captain, but he's an okay option because he has clear 2 touchdown upside. Kelsey is still an option for captain. I'm not playing him because I personally just don't want to play 6 or 7 or 8 captains. You're spreading yourself too thin, in my opinion. Has Mahomes ever shit the bed in 2 weeks in a row? I mean, he rarely does 1 week, so my guess would be no, but I don't have actual data for you. Hey, Sal, you think Bradbury will see a lot of Tyreek Hill tonight coverage-wise? If so, will he be leaning towards Kelsey to have a huge game? Thoughts? I like Tyreek a lot better today. James Bradbury doesn't concern me. I mean, cover 2 is the only thing that is beat, so basically just taking away the deep pass, the only thing that has beat this Chiefs team in terms of neutralizing Tyreek Hill, but they've kind of made adjustments, and now they're coming off of an extra day of rest, if you will. But they made adjustments with Tyreek. Like if you've watched these last couple of games, he's getting a lot more underneath stuff to move the chains. The deep ball is still there whenever they're not in cover 2, and Mahomes can check out of a run play or whatever it might be if they're playing just a 1 safety high. But yeah, I like Tyreek way more on any showdown slate than Travis Kelsey. Just the ceiling is so much higher. The projection's also higher. But yeah, I think that Tyreek is completely fine. I think that he's completely fine tonight. James Bradbury, by the way, doesn't scare me for anybody. Like, these elite of the elite receivers are unguardable. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown. These guys, you don't guard them. You don't guard 230-pound receivers like A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, who are fast. You don't guard the best, maybe, of all-time route runner in Devontae Adams, top 1% in the NFL ever. Tyreek Hill, the freakiest of all freaks in terms of getting open and speed. Nobody guards these guys. They're not actually guardable, right? That's why they produce so often. You don't guard them. James Bradbury, of all people, is not concerning me. No. Like, wide receiver cornerback matchups were important maybe 2-3 years ago. At this point in the day, how often players are moved into the slot, how often they're moved in motion, it's so difficult for any cornerback to actually be shut down. I mean, it's like Jalen Ramsey, and that's about it right now. Jair when he's healthy and he's not facing tall wide receivers. How much is Patreon? It depends on which tier you want. I'll drop the link into the chat. There's no set price. It depends on what you want. Different prices for what you want. Is there a way to transfer your optimizer lineups to DraftKings? Yeah, you can just look on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos, not from me, but just other people. It's like a 2-second process. You download them from the optimizer, you upload them into DraftKings. If you've never done it, there's a couple minute videos. Any Kelsey on your prize picks? No. I would have liked his under 7.5 receiving, but that has now moved down to 6.5 since he continuously doesn't get it. What is your projection for Kelsey at ownership in the captain spot? I think he'll probably be around 12 to 15% on the captain spot, which is, in my opinion, too high. How much exposure to Pettis? 0%. Dante Pettis, Evan Ingram, John Ross, these guys are the worst plays in the slate, assuming in 20 minutes we find out that Tony and Shepard are indeed active as they're expected to be, but you never know, so we'll just verify that. Have you talked much about Darius Slayton? He's just an okay play. He leans to be a bad play today, just factoring in all the other value. Yeah, I mean, you have an underpriced Tony and Shepard, and you have an overpriced Slayton. So I have 24% in 150s. Probably not going to be an interest in single entry. Yeah, he's not a god-awful play on this slate. He's just not a top 10 play, a top 12 play. Like, Darius Slayton, to me today, is probably like the 13th best play, 14th best play on the slate. And on a showdown slate, yeah, I'll get exposure in 20 max barely, some in 150, but yeah, single entry 3 max, no thanks. What kind of defense do the Giants often play? I mean, it's going to be very similar to team. It's a copycat league. I assume they're going to try and play some 2 high safeties against this team in the Chiefs because that's what's been the one thing that has stopped them a little bit. They might try and play man-to-man. They're not going to have the people to do it. So 2 high safeties will kind of neutralize that to an extent. Quick slam with Tyreek Hill. So hard to contain. Dude is a freak. Yes, he is. Let's get these Dollarooskis. Let's do it, Daniel. Let's do it. Any advice using the optimizer for SuperDraft? I don't have an optimizer for SuperDraft. I only have a DraftKings one. But I mean, in terms of just general optimizer for SuperDraft, yeah, I mean, run randomness and have good projections. That's about where SuperDraft is right now in terms of sophistication. Thoughts on running both quarterbacks in single entry? Yeah, I mean, I think they're 2 very good plays. I think Mahomes is the overall best play in the slate today. It's pretty obvious. He's also the most expensive guy, but there's enough value that it doesn't really matter. Daniel Jones, I think, is a top 5 play in the slate. So yeah, I think both is fine. Shep in the captain spot. I have some Shep captain, yeah. Not my favorite. Sal, if you can only fit one flex of Kelsey, Mahomes, and Hill in a lineup with Hardman, who would you pick? It would be Mahomes. I think he's the best play in the slate. What's your best player prop? I don't know about best player prop. I have a bunch of player props taken. This is what I have on Underdog. Over 49.5 Tony receiving and over 23.5 rushing yards of Mahomes. We got a better number on Mahomes on prize picks earlier in the day. On rushing, over 18.5. That is the best prop I've seen maybe all season long. Over 18.5 rushing yards on. I mean, week 1, there's like a number of like over 38 or over 40 receiving yards for Devontae Parker. We smashed that. This is like pretty similar in terms of being like the best prop of the season that I've seen. Over 18.5. They keep running cover 2s against this guy and he just keeps running. Daniel Jones over 20 completions, but none of these are like the best prop. I just like them all pretty similarly. Like they're all within 1 or 2 percentage points of being a difference from what my numbers show. So they all look just solid. Like I'm not taking a prop if I only have like a 1% difference. It's usually around like a 10% difference that I'll take the prop. So like when I have, for example, when I have Patrick Mahomes for like 29 yards, 10% of 18.5, right? Somewhere around there, it's like 2 yards. So it's clearly way over that. So I'll take that. Daniel Jones, when I have him for 23 completions, 10% is like 2, so it's over that, so I'll take that. Tyreek guy for like 90 yards, so 76.5, 10% of 76 is 7.6, and you get it to 84. Mine's still over that, so I'll take that. That's kind of my process for props. But yeah, we'll add a community prop as we go through here if something looks good. You said no Pringle and Robinson together. Do you include McKinnon in that group? Yeah, I probably don't want, I kind of just want one of those guys, right? You don't need more. You're trying to get overall points, right? And like the really good games for Demarcus Robinson are literally like 10 fantasy points, 12 fantasy points, right? The really good games for Byron Pringle are like 8 fantasy points. Jerick McKinnon, we haven't seen anything from him so far. You're just hoping that he runs into 2 or 3 receptions in a game, right? So yeah, I only want one of those guys. Like I'm hoping one of those guys can score 6 or 7 fantasy points tonight. And at their price points, they'll be needed. They'll score more than the defenses and the kickers or right around the same amount for a cheaper price tag. I don't want 2 of those guys together because even if those guys both have good games and they each score 8 points, which is really good games for Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle tonight, you're screwed. You have 16 points combined from 2 spots in your lineup. That's going to absolutely screw you. Thoughts on running Mahomes naked in the captain spot? I mean, what does that mean? You're just going to run Mahomes naked and then 5 Giants on the bring back? Probably not something I'm that interested in. Shepard is captain if he's active. He is my 3rd highest owned captain. Robinson, Pringle in the same lineup at flex. Not for me. Nope. Are you fading kickers and defenses in single entry? I haven't finished my single entry lineup right now, but I would assume I am. I don't think kickers and defenses look that good tonight. Sal, do you ever hit on the rivals picks on Underdog? I like Mahomes rushing over DJ. I know what they are. I never actually get around to doing it, so no, I guess. Yeah, by the way, this is Underdog Fantasy. This site is Prize Picks. They're both just fantasy over-unders on props, on fantasy scoring. If you use the code SAL, you get your first bet for free up to $100. You should probably take advantage of that. But this is the rivals. Mahomes versus Daniel Jones, +1 yard this way. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, like Mahomes on that one. To think that Mahomes outruns Daniel Jones, I think makes a lot of sense, especially when you look at where the player props are in those numbers. I might take that. Right now, I don't feel the need to take that, but I might take that. But yeah, this is the over-unders department. We can look through there. Legal sports gambling in Florida only with Hard Rock Sportsbook. Damn. Jason Walsh, a $50 super chat. We appreciate that, my man. Appreciate that. Harris really out on the NBA, somebody says. Yeah, I'll update the NBA projections as we go through this. It's the most annoying thing to do the most annoying part of my job is while I live stream and have to update NBA projections on 9 game slates or whatever the fuck it is. Somebody asked me if I'm playing NBA tonight. I am not. I've played NBA, I think, once or twice this season. I'm projecting every slate. I'm watching the games. I'm doing all that. I'm listening to the same podcast I normally do. I'm just not playing the slates because football is the main priority right now. And if I started to actually, NBA is like a full-time job if you actually want to play that realistically for DFS and not just throw your money away. If I actually did that, I would literally have no social life. And as somebody who more so than ever before would like social life, I don't have interest in playing NBA currently. I'll wait till the season's over. All right, but I'm going to update the NBA projections as we talk through this. A 50 burger, though. Love the content. Keep killing it. My man, Jason, you didn't even have a question. You just said, love the content. Keep killing it. You're very kind. I appreciate you, my man. Very kind person. That is going to, I was going to make my own food tonight. A little nice thick omelet for dinner, but maybe now we'll order something. Maybe we'll order some kava now because Jason Walsh, what is it? Walsh? Yeah. Such a nice guy. Daniel Jones naked gets it done with his legs. Maybe. I mean, really, outside of that one game when he had 90 yards, which was a primetime game, I mean, he hasn't done too much. Like, he's done decent, but not like an insane amount with his legs. So, like, when you're saying guys get it done with their legs, I'm thinking Lamar Jackson. I'm thinking Kyler when he's not hurt, right? I'm thinking Jalen Hurts. I don't think of Daniel Jones when I think, like, he is dependent on himself. So, I would say that Daniel Jones with one of those 2 receivers who are both underpriced in Shepard and Tony today, who are both going to see probably 20 to 24% target shares today. Yeah, those are the types of guys that I would like to be playing. The projections are currently being updated for NBA as we talk about this. Is KC running back a must-play tonight? He is not a must-play. He is a solid play, but he is not, I don't even think he's a top 5 play. He's a top 10 play, but not a top 5 play tonight. Very solid play, though. Oh my gosh, this is annoying. Sal, favorite captain in single entry? It's either going to be Mahomes or Kelsey for me. I think that Kadarius Toney and Shepard are interesting though. So one of those four guys. I don't have my captain chosen yet. I'm far from having my lineup set. We're still 2 hours to lock. So yeah, my single entry lineup, I will not know. I will also probably not tell anybody my single entry. That I don't see any benefits for me exposing my single entry captain when a lot of these single entries there's like 200 people. So if 5 of you are playing in that, I just lose like a 1 or 2% edge, which again, 1 or 2% to most people, if they're hearing that, sounds like nothing. That's a pretty significant edge long term, right? That's the difference between cashing and not cashing. The difference between winning first place and splitting for fourth place 5 ways and barely making your entry fee back, right? Alrighty, so my man Adam donates right now to the stream $10. He says, thanks, Sal. One more for the Chiefs value. One of McKinnon, Pringle, and Robinson makes sense. I assume you don't include Hardman in that group. Yeah, I don't include Hardman. So I think you could have like Hardman and Robinson together. Even that, though, I'm like not too excited about, but Hardman can easily have a 16 to 18 point day. One of those other guys gets you 6 or 8. So yeah, I don't think you have to have him in that group. So yes, I'm not thrilled to have Robinson and Hardman together, but I think it's fine. Hardman's price point is just insane right now. Like Hardman has the ability to have 2 catches for 10 yards. That's just like kind of his forte. Like if Mahomes, if he, it's kind of like Hardman. It just depends if that's the night that Hardman actually wants to play and get going. Sal, best content in the biz. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Where are you finding the value slate since Hill as captain spot is super expensive? There's so much value. McKinnon, Pringle, and Hardman and Robinson are all the value. Which ones look good? I would say that the best looking one is going to be Hardman. He's also the most expensive. The other ones just kind of throw your hands in the air like you just don't care and say, we'll guess here, right? Just say that you're going to guess. Because that's about as good as you can do. Like who's going to get there between Pringle, Robinson, and McKinnon is all about who has either the touchdown, which I couldn't tell you that. Robinson runs the most routes, so like he should look like the best option at $800. He's going to run 25 routes to 15 for McKinnon and 15 for, or like 12 for McKinnon and 15 for Pringle. But he also really struggles to get separation, which is a big issue, right? Alrighty, I'm updating all this shit for NBA. Hey, Sal, you don't talk about your DFS course often. Would you say it is just as relevant today as it was when you originally made it? Yeah, I just don't promote it, I guess. Yeah, I would say everything is relevant. I mean, I made it about 2.5, 3 years ago. I talk a lot about cash games then and how I played cash games then. I don't play them anymore, but there's an update in there for that. I only play DFS, or I only play GPPs now, personally. Alrighty, let's finish updating this fucking projections for a ZNBA. Alrighty, we should be good to go on that. Bada bing, bada bang. Hill and Kelsey, I went with Pringle. Hope I'm right. Yeah, I mean, Pringle's going to run less routes. He's probably the more talented player, but they don't trust him as much because of run blocking and just some other things. At least that's how it has been the past couple of years. But, yeah, I think he's fine. If Mahomes is your captain, are you okay playing both Hardman and Robinson? No, I don't want to play both of them. I mean, can they both get you 16 points? Maybe. I think it's a very, very low percentage chance, so I don't want to play both of them. I don't want those two guys in the same lineup. I don't want Robinson and Pringle in the same lineup together, personally. Out of both kickers and both defense, what's your favorite of the 4? The favorite of the 4 would be Buckner. Harrison Buckner. That would be my favorite of the 4. NBA projections are being updated. Mahomes and Hill and all his pass catchers with Toney run back. I don't want all of his pass catchers. I don't know what that means, but I mean, like Travis Kelce and Tyreek, that's fine, but I don't want all the pass catchers. Alrighty, NBA projections have been updated. I'm going to update the optimizer now, and I'm sure there'll be more news. Hopefully it's not significant. Sal, how did you get into this? Love the content, man. Haven't updated the TikTok in a while. Yeah, TikTok I've been actively just not doing content for. It takes about an hour or 2 each morning to do the content for that. I grinded it out for about 3 months, built up the platform. Then naturally the viewership started to lower as people cared less about their season-long fantasy teams. And I figured I should not put as much time into that for plenty of reasons. Just overall burnout reasons. I was feeling burnt out. And it was a good natural time if the growth was stopping organically to just take a break from it. How did I get into this? October of 2018 in college, I was playing around with a camera over that summer trying to figure out something to do because I knew I didn't want to work in a job for the rest of my life, even being in Silicon Valley for an internship, which is like maybe the best spot you can actually be in terms of work environment. And even that was just like, why am I working for somebody else right now, putting time into making them money when I can put time into making me money? So I read a bunch of books, learned about cameras, and then just started to test a bunch of different things. Like rap videos and all this reviews. You can find them on the YouTube channel from a while ago. And DFS I was early on it. I got a lot of views on some videos I was doing early on and just sharing my research that I would do. And it's just snowballed from there. So that's basically it. Will Harmon have a good day? He projects out as a quality play on the slate. Will he have a good day? I will let you know in about 3 hours, right? But he projects out as a decent play, not a great day, just a decent play at the price point. Looks good. Has the injury report come out in about 8 minutes? Thoughts on Pettis is the best option and Rudolph over Ingram? I think Rudolph and Pettis are terrible plays. I think Ingram is also a bad play, but not as bad as those guys, but they're all pretty bad. What should you set randomness for percentage-wise for wide receivers and running backs? You should do it per specific player. The higher a player's projection, the lower their randomness. The lower the player's projection, the higher the randomness, right? Sal, can you tell where your viewers and subscribers by demographics? If so, where? Yeah, I could if I go into the YouTube stuff. I think, yeah, I mean, it's like mainly the far majority of the United States. Hypothetically, how much Gordon in 100 lineups? 0. Absolutely 0. Sal, what's your biggest win in DFS? $30,000 Rooskies. What are you doing with Pettis tonight? I'm playing 0%. He's a bad play as long as Shepard and Tony are in. I mean, he's going to be the wide receiver 4. He's going to run 10 routes and he's $5,000. No, like that's if Shepard and Tony are in today, you playing Pettis is like you paying $5,000 for Josh Gordon today. You would never do it. So why would you do it with Pettis? Who's the best captains tonight? Tyreek, Mahomes, the Giants receivers, Daniel Jones to an extent. Darrell Williams is okay. I think Tooney and Shepard will be on limited snap counts, so going Slayton and Pettis with them in different lineups. Yeah, I mean, there's no news on the snap counts right now for either of those guys. But yeah, I mean, Tony's already re-injured this injury, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him be limited. Why are the Titans going after Adrian Peterson? Because Derrick Henry is on IR. But yeah, I don't know. He's probably only going to cost them $1 million to sign at this point, maybe even less. Why is Pettis a bad play, sir? Because he's the wide receiver 4 in the New York Giants tonight, assuming that Shepard and Tony are back, which they're expected to return. So the wide receiver 4 at $5,000+ is a terrible play. Last week he was a good play. Why? And he performed well. Why? Because Shepard and Tony were out. So those guys are back. He's the wide receiver 4 in the team tonight, behind Slayton, right? He was the wide receiver 2 behind Slayton last week. So then he drops to the wide receiver 4. That's not good for the price tag. I would not even pay for Shepard. I would not even play for Pettis if he was $2,000. I have him projected for 2.8 points. Sal, ever consider doing a live stream during halftime, primetime games to play props? No. I'm usually in bed by those times, so no. I go to bed at like 9:30, between 9 and 10 each night. So the last thing I want to do is fire up a live stream at 10 p.m. for 17 people to come in for me to talk about a player prop that there's no edge on in-game props really for the most part. What if hamstring bothers Shep like Hopkins, then Pettis is playable? No, Pettis is so overpriced. If Shepard's out there, I assume he's running routes. So, yeah. I mean, like Hopkins is an outlier. Like guys who play in games with injuries and then can't finish those games, it doesn't happen all that much. Normally when guys go out there, they're healthy. So I'm just going to assume that that's the case. Can it be re-injured in the game tonight? Yeah, it's a higher risk than a player who doesn't have an injury. But I'm not going to bet tonight that a player gets hurt in the game for my $5,000 overpriced player to even see snaps. Like that is bad process. It is very bad process to play Dante Pettis, who is projected for 2.8 points tonight, and hope that another player in front of him gets hurt so that he can play, and even then he's overpriced, right? Sal, pick 2 for me. Darrell Williams and McCole Hardman versus Shepard and Tony. Sal just wakes up in the morning, crosses his fingers as he checks his phone, somebody said. Yeah, I usually like wake up in the morning. I don't check Twitter or anything right when I wake up. I think that's a really waste of dopamine. You just drop all your dopamine in the morning. So I don't check any social medias when I first wake up. I'll check the scores on games if there was a primetime game and I had a lot of action in it. Sometimes I don't even check until like noon the next day because I just don't really care too much. Like day to day, I'm not hoping to be a millionaire. I don't play the millionaire maker. So day to day, I know that whatever money I'm playing on DraftKings or player props is not going to change my life. If like I won $30,000 3 weeks ago on DraftKings, that's a lot of money. It personally just didn't change my life overnight. I did watch that one live though because it was a Packers game. But like when I'm playing props, a good props week, you win a couple grand. That's not changing my life, right? Like it's not making me retire that I don't have to work. So I guess I'm not as excited to check stuff the next morning. But I still check it. Like I still sweat if I'm watching it live. If it's a big type of GPP. But props, like normally props, you don't have any shot at winning 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand. So I'm fine going to bet on those. Booker as a sneaky lineup captain. I don't think Booker's a good captain, no. I need 15 points from Booker tonight. I got him projected for about 12.5. When will we know if Shepard and Tony are in? 5:50, the inactives come out sometimes a couple minutes after by the time the team's PR reports come out and all that on Twitter. Do you play the Millie Maker showdowns? No, I do not. I think Millie Makers are bad contests. Sometimes I just put my main single entry lineup into Millie Makers. I haven't in like 2 months though. Is it worth getting contrarian and picking up a bum at captain with studs? No, never, 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 never. Somebody is going to score 25 to 30 plus DraftKings points tonight. In the captain spot, that is going to equate to around 40 fantasy points, maybe 45, maybe 50. When you put a bum in there who scores 6 points and gets you 9 in the captain spot, you will never even come close to winning. Never. No. Don't get cute. Do not get cute in the captain spot, right? Play good players who see usage, who see snaps, who have red zone upside in the captain spot. That's it. You don't play bad players. You don't play Kyle Rudolph in the captain spot. Because even if Kyle Rudolph's a good game with 2 catches for 12 yards and a touchdown, you're losing all your money. And that's in a good game for him. Tony or Shepard today? Yep, that's a question that we're going to get asked a lot during the stream. The answer is they're the same fucking play. Same projection, same ownership, same price. They're the same play today. There's a narrative to be said that Kadarius Toney has more upside downfield. But I could just tell you that, all right, well, Sterling Shepard has more connection in the slot and might see 4 more targets and 3 more catches, right? So same play. Flip a coin. I think downfield upside for ceiling, Toney might have more of that, but it's not that far of a difference. I think my answer is play both. So I love your mindset when it comes to DFS. Got to remember this should be a hobby and not an income source. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like I try not to tilt a lot. I don't play DFS for a living. Have the last 2 to 3 years I've won 5 figures in profit in DFS? Yes. Yes. We have done well. I'm trying to play well. I don't think that there's many people out there, you can probably count them maybe on one hand, that are making a full-time living off of DFS. And you might not be able to count any of those people on a hand that have a personal life, that enjoy themselves, right? Because to have a full-time living in DFS, you have to be playing every action you can, every single turbo slate, in every single sport, making sure that you know the news in every single thing. That's not a fun life to me. Having to know every single second of NBA news while also making sure your NFL lineups are good, while also setting up League of Legends stuff and MLB stuff for the next, That might sound fun to some of you guys. Try doing it for a year straight of having to do it for every single thing you do to make a living off of it. And then you actually have to make sure you win because you're stressed out about paying bills. Yeah, that's not a healthy lifestyle. That's not a sustainable lifestyle. Not a lifestyle that I would definitely want any part of. What's going on, Sal? Ready for Thanksgiving and Christmas? Yeah, man. Best times of the year are coming up. I love it. How much do you think you've won this year in props? Profiting in props? Probably. I mean, I could track it. I think it's somewhere around like 23 grand. The beginning of the NFL season plus, I mean, yesterday we won 2,700, so that was a big bump. But the preseason, the beginning of the NFL season, and also NBA was really fucking soft last year during the postseason. But the NFL preseason, I mean, we just fucking raked it in. Those first 2 weeks of the NFL preseason, I think I won like 8 or 9 grand. I love when someone gets Sal fired up. Yeah, Slayton week. Yeah, he's a decent play. Sal, you sound tired tonight. You good? I'm completely good. The lineup you won 30K on, would you have won the Millie Maker that night? Don't know if you checked or not. No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I won 30K in a 200-person contest, so no. Harmon considered a bum or viable as captain. I don't want to play him in the captain spot, but I think he's a fine flex play. Our kicker's live tonight. Just Buckner, but I don't think so. Why waste money on the Millie Maker when you can get on Patreon? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people are going to be playing $50 in the Millie Maker tonight, continuously losing. You don't even have to get on Patreon with that, although that would be a better investment in my opinion, definitely. But just put it into a single entry, right? Put it into a 3-max. Put it into something way better. Small field events. Recommendations for multi-entry contests for Showdown other than the Millie Maker, the ones that have the smallest amount of entry people. That's it. Like, you're the easiest thing without even having to know how to do any type of coding, making projections, ownership, having to pay for it. The easiest thing you can do for yourself is play in contests with the least people. Your percentage of winning goes up dramatically. When you're facing 100,000 people in the Millie Maker or 200,000, whatever it is, versus 1,000 people, your percentages of winning go up significantly, right? You only have to beat 999 people to win first. You only have to beat 750 people to cash, right? Instead of 75,000 people in the Millie Maker or 100,000 people to even cash, right? Your odds are way better. Your gamble is way less there, right? So it's as easy as that. Are we going to see the bad Chiefs again tonight? Who knows? I would say no. Thoughts on Williams? Nice play. Not elite, but a solid play. Skull Clown says, don't you do that for projections and ownership? I don't know what you mean. I do project ownership and projections, yes. Unfortunately, people need to understand that the upset is there. Look at the Jets. Just spend what you can afford. Alrighty. Who are your top 4 captains? The Giants receivers, Tyreek, and Mahomes. What about 3% McCole Hardman in the captain spot? Not really interested. I think his odds of being the captain tonight are about 3 or 4 or 5%, so I think he's about appropriately owned. Low chance of actually hitting for you, so I'm not really interested. All right. You okay on SuperDraft leaving out the QBs? I mean, leaving out Daniel Jones is pretty risky. 1.4x multiplier. Do you think people could make a living off of prize picks? It depends what you consider a living. There's the NBA projections if you're interested. We added ownership and some other chef. It depends what you would consider making a living. Is a $2,000 a month a living? For most people, it's not. Do I think you can make significant side hustle money? Yeah. Make a living off of player props? Probably not, because you get limited in a lot of spots. Probably not. But I mean, if you're trying to do a hobby of it, if you're trying to make $2,000 a month and you're really grinding, and you're grinding like esports and League of Legends, Prize Picks, and all this, and you have different books, you have Underdog, you have DraftKings, you have BetMGM, all these books you're shopping lines at. If you're really putting effort into it, I think you can make $2,000 a month, but not like a consistent $2,000 a month. You might lose $2,000 in a single month. I don't think that anybody, in my opinion, should be full-time having to worry about a player catching a pass or not, or dropping it, for you to actually pay your bills, for you to actually have retirement, for you to actually invest in ETFs, in mutual funds and everything, right? Hopefully low-cost mutual funds. It's that stress alone is not worth it. Like, some people think it's like a dream job. I could actively try to chase making 60 to 80 grand a year in DFS. The upside is way more in the business side of things, of course, but man, that would be an extra 3 times the workload, 100 hours a week of something I don't want to do. Booker a better play than Williams? I do not think so. I think Williams is the better play personally. Tonight. All righty, let's update that. Sorry, Sal. I'm going Pettis on limited lineups and big GPPs and have both in run. Yeah, I just personally don't like Pettis. I think Pettis is the worst play. Then Ingram and John Ross right after that is the worst plays on the slate tonight. Very low hit chance. Pettis only really in play if guys in front of him get hurt, and not just one, but 2 guys. Because even if Shepard gets hurt, Tony's still ahead of him, right? So that is where I am at on that. Let me try and do one last run of NBA in here. Watch all your videos this week and won $500. Salute to you, brother. Hey, Jack Slick, nice work. Help people more than you think. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, the videos, the reason I started making them 3 years ago was they were a lot of fun to make, and then I realized I can do a career out of it. So you can make money doing it in terms of a career, and help people win money, and have fun doing it, and help myself win money, since I'm actually researching more often now and trying to really make sure what I'm putting out there is not just hearsay or fluff or anything like that. Like, I'm actually trying to put out as much as I possibly can. It is obviously a dream career. We'll have a business review video probably at the end of the year. We are going to smash last year's numbers, but more importantly than smashing last year's numbers, able to outsource more this year in terms of some of the work that my fingertips and eyeballs are not needed for, which has allowed me to be more stress-free in certain areas, a lot more time in the personal life, just things like that. More time to go on walks and read, and just smaller things that aren't even big, that I didn't have a lot of time to do the last 2 or 3 years because it was me nonstop. But now that we were able to afford some help behind the scenes on outsourcing and things like that, yeah, it was very nice. Are the inactives out yet? Yeah, they probably came out about 5 minutes ago. Assuming that nobody is flooding in here saying that Tony and Shepard are out, I assume that the Giants have officially stated who is in and out. But I'll pull that up on their page, assuming that they dropped the inactives there. Giants inactives: Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, the names that you would assume. So, yes, Shepard and Tony are in today, as they have been expected to be in, as they have practiced all week, limited towards the end of the week. So, yeah, I expect them to be full goes. So, yeah. We are updating the projections one final time in here right now. Bada bing, bada bang, bada bang, bada bang. Alrighty, cool. NBA final update on ownership overall projections. Who's higher owned, Hill or Kelsey? I think Tyreek will be higher owned today, and that's appropriate. Like, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that Tyreek should be higher owned today. I think that the leverage is still on Tyreek in terms of you get more leverage playing Tyreek, in terms of you pass the field more often tonight if you play Tyreek over Kelsey because of just his overall projection and ceiling. The final run on NBA ownership for the night. Bada bing, bada bang is good to go. Can now put this shit away. Let's just make sure that this goes up. That man, Sal. Yeah. Let me get this final shit done, and we'll answer some final questions. Sal, Shepard captain for the win. Shepard is my third highest owned captain tonight. I think he's definitely a viable captain. I think Shepard is definitely a viable captain. Let me get this NBA projections up one more time just to put it into the optimizer, the proper numbers, and then we'll be good to go. What are the best contests to play in DraftKings to give yourself the best chance to win? Single entry and 3 max small field events. So the less people in the contest you're versing, the better. Single entry and 3-max, those are the best contests that you will find on DraftKings. I don't care what anybody tells me. Those are the best contests you'll find on DraftKings. You automatically have a better chance to win. You have less people building a shit ton of lineups around you, which gives you a better chance to win. And you can hone down and focus in on those couple of lineups, which, again, gives you a better chance to win. Sal, I picked up $1,500 last night using some of your prize picks. Great stuff. Thanks. Yeah, my man, David. Nice work, David. Attaboy. Attaboy, David. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're not already playing on prize picks and Underdog and comparing your props on both these sites, if you have access, which far majority of states have access to DraftKings and prize picks and Underdog and all that for props, get in right now. Even if you don't think your state is legal for betting, like New York, you have access to these sites. You don't have access to bet there. You have access to these sites. Well, you will have access to bet very shortly. Texas, I'm in Texas. You have access to these sites. Use the code SAL. Free bet up to $100. These are some of the props we're taking. Daniel Jones over his completions. Patrick Mahomes over rushing at these specific numbers. Let's put a nice little number in there. Alrighty. What should we take tonight, fellas and ladies? We'll look at a prop to take. Obviously, later in the day, you don't want to be taking props an hour before the stream starts. For majority of your props, you want to get them at their opening numbers. But for the purposes of this show, we'll take a player prop. What do you guys want to do? What do you want this to be? Are the inactives out yet? Yes. No news has changed. Is less than 250 people considered small field? Yes, most definitely it is. Yes. Most definitely less than 250 people is considered small field. What questions do you hate the most here, somebody says? I guess no specific question comes to mind. I don't think I hate any of them. Sal, best food in Houston? I've never been to Houston, so I don't know. How do you acquire your ownership projections? I create projections on my own. So I make my own ownership projections. I'm not going to give you away the recipe to the madness. That doesn't do me much good as somebody trying to provide a service to 1,000+ patrons, just give away how I project ownership. But it is not easy. It took me about 3 years of trying and looking into things. Nobody lets their secrets slip on how to project ownership. You might understand like the things you need for it, historical data, optimizers, all this other type of stuff. But the actual ability to do it and do it correctly over time, it is a hard fucking thing to do. But once you get it down, then it's just kind of plug and place, right? My boy listens to Al Smizzle, somebody said. Smiz, I know who Smiz is in terms of making content. I can honestly say I have not watched any of his content or just anybody's in general. Like I used to watch Pat Mayo's content all the time. Their content's good. It's great. I assume it's continued to get better. I just don't have time. I don't have time, and I'm already doing it on my own side of things, so I don't really have any interest in listening to like the same things that I already have kind of like researched, right? Sal, can we please talk about Pettis? Yeah, I think he's the worst play on the slate. I think Pettis, Evan Ingram, John Ross, I think these are the worst plays on the slate. Yeah. I don't see how you can possibly play Dante Pettis tonight in anything with significant. If you're playing the Millie Maker 150 lineups and you want to put him in a couple, I guess, sure, go for it. I'm personally not. But I don't know how you can confidently play Dante Pettis and put your money behind him tonight. You realize that he's the wide receiver 4 on this team. Last week, if you're looking at his game logs, last week he was the wide receiver 2. But Sterling Shepard and Kadarius Toney, the wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 for this team, are now back. So Pettis slides down to being the wide receiver 4 on this team, maybe even behind Evan Ingram, right? So Dante Pettis is $5,000 today. Based on my projections, the only way Dante Pettis would be a good play today is if he was $400. So even at $1,000, he's a bad play on this slate. Should I take both Toney and Shepard? That seems fine. Hey, Sal, are you from Houston? I got your next steak. I'm not from Houston, no. I'm born in Brooklyn, raised in Staten Island, New York, until I was 13. Moved to the Northeast Pennsylvania area, went to Penn State, moved to Raleigh for a year and a half. Now I'm in Austin, Texas. Who's your barber? So a couple barbers. I'm not going to give away identifying information so you stand outside and try and murk me with a machete or something. There's the disco lights. But yeah, I've got a couple of barbers. I have one main guy that I like, but he's rarely ever on the Booksy app, so it sucks. McKinnon under a half a TD. Sounds good. I mean, I don't know who's giving you that prop. Just joined. Are the Giants receivers playing tonight? Yes, they are. Sal, I heard you mention McKinnon earlier. What's your thoughts? I think that McKinnon, Byron Pringle, and Demarcus Robinson, you should have ownership towards all those guys. They're all good plays. I couldn't tell you which one is going to be a better play tonight. I know Demarcus Robinson will see the most routes. Normally, it doesn't really fucking matter for Demarcus Robinson. So, yeah, one of those guys, they're all projected for about 5 points for me. One of those guys is going to score you 7 to 10 plus, and that guy will be needed. Could I tell you which guy that is? No. That's about it. No. Byron Pringle has a higher target rate than DeMarcus Robinson, but DeMarcus Robinson runs a lot more routes, so it kind of equals out. Jerick McKinnon is only $1,000. He's cheap. He's low owned. He's had 3 and 2 fantasy points in his first 2 weeks with the Chiefs. So couldn't tell you much there in terms of confidence. But one of them will get you there. I don't know which one. Would love to see you destroy Al in a cage match. Yeah, so many people continuously tell me about this cage match. I assume it's not a literal cage match. I assume he's just doing a head-to-head with people on his channel. Yeah, I mean, if Al reaches out, assuming that the schedules line up, I would do it. I don't know who he plays. I don't know if it's bigger name people or what. Need 5 out of Kelsey. Should I get it? Yes, you should. You okay having Hardman and Robinson in the same lineup? I don't really love it, but sure. Getting way too much 5-1 KC lineups. Please tell me I'm Gucci. I don't want 5-1 lineups, but I don't think it's bad. Like, there's not a lot of good plays on the Giants. It's like Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard, and Tony are like really the only plays I really like. Their defense, not that great. Their kicker, not really feeling it. Evan Ingram's not a good play. Booker is fine, but I prefer Darrell Williams in the same price range and the wide receivers. So I can see a 5-1 onslaught working. If you get a bad Daniel Jones game today, a 5-1 onslaught's probably going to work. Greenlight DFS are pretty good, and so are you. You are the 2 and only 2 I listen to. I appreciate that. Al does a head-to-head for charity. Well, that's very nice. Very nice. What are you doing for the game tonight? Anything fun? I'm going to make some food after this, and then once the game starts, I'll probably watch Riverdale with my girlfriend. So, yeah, maybe I'll watch like a quarter, but probably just watch Riverdale with the girlfriend. I mean, I have YouTube TV, so I can pull it up on my phone on the side while I watch Riverdale, just check here and there. But, yeah, I mean, I like football. I like betting on it. I like getting the edges. I like making money. If I see that I have a sweat in the fourth quarter, I'll put the game on for sure. But in terms of watching every single snap on every Monday and Thursday night, first like couple of weeks of the season, I definitely like doing it. But then it just kind of gets old. It's like the same thing over and over again. You're sweating for a little bit. You don't have a chance. Sometimes you do. And then my girlfriend's sitting there like, you're just going to keep watching this football game. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. In about 10 or 20 or 30 years or 60 years when I'm about to die, I'm going to say, wow, why did I watch football all the time? Why didn't I go out to more bars and breweries and meet more people? Or at least spend quality time with the people I care about. So I try and do that a little bit more the last couple of years than in the past. In the past, I'd watch every second of every single football game I could. I still enjoy doing that to an extent. First hour or two on Sundays. If I have a sweat, I'll turn it on. But other than that, I don't need to see the 3-yard run into somebody's butt. I don't need to see the 47-yard drive that ends in a field goal or a punt. I personally just want better things. Is weather an issue tonight? Haven't checked weather. Yeah, I haven't checked weather either. Considering the fact that nobody has mentioned it in the chat when a lot of people normally get a little bit frazzled by it, I would say that the answer to that is no. The totals have not moved. If anything, the Chiefs total has risen, so the answer is probably no. Al plus Sal, I'm preaching for a year now. He gets a lot of streamers in the industry to go head-to-head. Loser donates to winner's charity. Yeah, I would do that. I would do that for sure. That sounds like a really good cause. Is it fine if Hardman and Pringle in the same lineup in single entry? I don't probably want that with most of my money in play, but sure. Is Riverdale still hitting? Season 1 was good. Yeah, Riverdale's great. The new season just came on Netflix, and I'm about halfway done. So please, nobody spoil it. Now that I said that, don't be the asshole in here, please. Sal, I was messing with you about Pettis. You're getting fired up. I love it. Yeah, I'll smack your ass. Smack your ass. Sal, I miss your Eddie Munster haircut. Yeah, I don't. I know you said you're the same. I know you said they're the same, but if you had to pick Tony or Shepard, I'm playing both probably in single entry. I haven't finalized my lineup yet, so I literally am not picking one or the other. I have 3% more Shepard in 150 max, which is not me saying that I like Shepard more. It's just how it worked out. Like, I'm just not going to pick. Like, I'm not going to give you an answer that I don't have the answer to. Some days it's just they're the same fucking play. Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard today are the same fucking play. I would say Kadarius Toney has a slightly higher ceiling, barely, but he's also slightly more owned. So again, their leverage is basically the same. If you put a gun to my head and said pick one, I would probably say Toney, but there's no gun to my head, and I'm not picking one in real life. Are we still expecting Sterling Shepard to play? Yes, they're already ruled in. Sal, have you watched C on Apple Plus? I don't think I've ever watched or heard of anything on Apple Plus, to be honest. Is $1,900 left on the board too much? No, it is not. 1,200 people in here right now. Hey, if you're not already subscribed to this YouTube channel right here, Sal Vetri YouTube channel, I appreciate you. Thank you for spending your time here right now. Obviously, you don't have to do that. Some people are watching Riverdale on their phone with their girlfriends and things like that. Hopefully, you're having a lovely time tonight. But take 2 seconds to just hit the subscribe button. There's 1,200 people watching. I know that at least one person is not, so just double check. It really does help. Sal, you doing the luxury box tonight? I am, yes. Saints of Newark Extra. Yeah, I never even watched The Sopranos. I'm a fake Italian. I watched one episode. I just never had the time. I was in college when I wanted to start it, and I was like, I cannot invest an hour per episode, and I definitely can't do that now. So, I mean, maybe I could, but it would take forever. So I would like to watch The Sopranos. I just don't have the time. I mean, maybe I can watch an episode. Like, I don't even watch Netflix every day. So, like, if I'm watching, like, 2 episodes of Netflix a week, and now you tell me The Sopranos is an hour instead of 40-minute episodes, I'm going to watch 1 episode a week. It's going to take me fucking years. It's going to take me, 10 years to finish this fucking thing? So, what happened to your boy Malik Taylor? You said he could break the slate and didn't even play. No, I never said he could break the slate. I had Malik Taylor that day projected for 6 fantasy points, so definitely did not say he would break the slate. Yeah, they out of nowhere played Juwan Winfrey over him. Couldn't tell you. I guess he was probably still dealing with COVID. I mean, definitely not side effects, but maybe just like fatigue and bad conditioning. Side effects, he wouldn't be out there. But yeah, I couldn't tell you. Malik Taylor was running ahead of all those guys, and then he didn't play really like at all. He ran like 1 route, I think, 2 routes. So yeah, but break the slate, I think you're being a little extreme there. As I had him at 6 points projected and 17% ownership myself, I think I would add a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, if you were playing Malik Taylor in 80 to 100% of your lineups, that was bad process. I had him in 17% of my lineups, so yeah, he ruined about almost 20% of my 150 lineups. He was not in my single entry lineup. I don't know why you would play him or any of those guys in there. How accurate are your projections? I couldn't tell you an accuracy rating. I guess you can sign up. You can ask the Patreon members. I'm currently up right now on props about 23 grand this year, and in DFS about 36 grand. So we're having a good time so far. I think you're a very nice guy for spending quality time with your girlfriend. She found a good man. You're an awesome dude, Sal. Yeah, I could probably spend more and be better at it, but I think definitely since last year at this time, I've made that a priority. 6 months ago, like every single day and week and month, I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to buy property or maybe just rent near my parents. That's another fruit of doing this. Like I don't spend money on cars or anything. Like, I'm going to drive the same car I have now for like the next 6 to 8 years until it fucking breaks. I just reinvest in the business, the equipment, the aesthetics, the sound. And now I want to, obviously I put a lot of money towards retirement because I don't know how sustainable this is 20 years from now. 5 years from now, I feel good. 10, sure. 20, I don't know. I don't know where the industry goes. But nobody does. But yeah, I would like to, I don't want to buy a house and have that responsibility right now in like another location, but probably just rent out something closer to my parents to see them more often. I've only spent a couple of weeks with my parents this entire year, and that's terrifying when you think of that over a long term. So yeah, I would like to be able to go home more often, build a studio by them. So that's what my off-season goal and project is going to be once football ends. Prize picks, LOL. Yeah, we talked about them all throughout the stream. They're all on Twitter at Vetri DFS if you don't follow me there. Do you think John Ross is playable? No. To the dude asking about projections, we stay making money on prize picks. Fleecing on the daily. We love it. Sal with the fro would equal Lonzo Ball, somebody said. You think so? You think I got the Lonzo Ball look to me? 4 Chiefs, 2 Giants players, the formula. Alrighty, sounds good. Yeah, I don't think that sounds too bad. My man Sean says, hit the thumbs button for the free knowledge. Yeah, Sean, I appreciate that. Yeah, hit the thumbs button. Why not? When you have a baby, Netflix is king, somebody says. I do not have a baby right now. Definitely would like to have kids in the future, but nowhere near right now. And the shirts, somebody says. I appreciate that. Yes. You invest in the shirts. Well, all these shirts I only wear on stream. There's a couple of them that I've worn out in public, like either to a bar or a brewery. Most of these I just wear on stream. There's a reason I wear them. I think it shows my personality more. It differentiates me from other people in the industry who are just wearing just fucking like flat brim hats and like gray t-shirts or whatever, right? Like, nothing wrong with that. That's very casual. You get to work from home, so you can do that. But I mean, it's also not really setting you apart in more ways when you could easily do that just by changing your wardrobe. Matchup-wise, who do you prefer, Hill or Kelsey? I like Hill. Inactives are out, yes. Also, what percentage of Mahomes do you have? I have a shit ton of Mahomes. I'll probably still be around the field, but I'll have more. So I'll probably be around the field because he's just highly owned. I have 80% Mahomes, which I think is probably around where the field comes in on him. Enjoy your movie night tonight, buddy. Riverdale. Yeah. Can't wait. Penny or Robinson? I'll take Robinson. Shep and Tony cleared for tonight per FanDuel Scout. Yes, they are. Per the teams, they are. I'm feeling a big dollar Ruski night. Oh, yeah, we hope so. How did you do on last night's game? I don't play Sunday Night Football Showdowns, rarely ever, so I didn't play in terms of DFS, but I made $600 in props. $600 in props profited. Under on Dalvin Cook's receiving yards, under on his receptions, and under on Zeke's fantasy points were the 3 props I had. I added the last 2 like 10 minutes before the game. And then, yeah, that was that. I rarely play DFS on Sunday Night Football. It's just the last thing that I build projections and models and do all that for it and provide it on Patreon. And I played once and won 30 grand this year. I played twice on Sunday night, once and won 30 grand. It's just not something I do. Like, I got action on football all day long. And usually on Sunday nights, I'm just spending time with friends or the girlfriend or just chilling. And the last thing I want to do is watch more football. Nothing against it, but it's just I'm usually already a couch potato for the day. Just got here. What do you think about? What do I think about? I think about a lot of things. What do I think about Gordon? I think he's a terrible play. Yeah. You and Nick from BDG love a good party shirt. Yeah, Nick's great. Yeah, me and Nick are co-owners of a CryptoPunk, so we are actually fathers together. So yeah, yeah. Cheapest player that you see as a viable play tonight in the captain spot, Kadarius Toney 6,800. Viable, I mean Hardman kind of, right? So I discovered you recently while I was with my daughter who's going through chemo for leukemia. You've provided a lot of good information for me during the days just sitting and waiting. Thanks, says Jonathan Hyland. Jonathan Hyland, that's like giving me chills right now. I hope your daughter's doing okay. I hope you're doing okay. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I just like making these videos. I think that there's a very good amount of the time when I'm just talking to a camera. Like live streams are more interactive, but talking to a camera. So it's just kind of like, okay, let's get the video done. Okay, we got the research done. Okay, let's make sure we're edited. Let's fact check myself. Okay, record, do that. Okay, good. Go on to the next one, right? And I don't really think about the connection from that standpoint. So when people say that, it's, yeah, man, it's thoughts and prayers, but it's really cool. It's really cool. Happy, man. Happy to help bring some sort of positivity boost, even if it's 1% to everybody's days. But yeah, man. Sal, can I come over and drink with you for the game? No, sorry. You could be a great person, but no. You have any pennants today? I do not. Where do you sign up for projections? I do my own projections, so I don't sign up anywhere for projections. If you want to become a Patreon member, we have 1,077 patrons. It is a legitimate service, something that I put a lot of time and effort into. You can do so right here on this link. You're a good dude, Sal. You're a good dude, John. Thoughts on playing Toney captain in small fields? I think it's okay. Yes. I think he's one of the best 4 captains. I know you don't want to hear it, but tonight's the night Josh Gordon gets involved. All right, he sounds good. That's what somebody told me the last 3 games he played. Can be colorblind buying that shirt. Yeah, you can't. You can be colorblind buying that shirt. Thank you, Sal. Yeah, no problem. All righty, gang. I'm going to bounce. We've been live for longer than we usually are. Peace out, everybody. Let's put the disco ball on to close this bet. Let's get this disco ball, by the way. It's fucking disco ball. It's like small as shit. I thought it was way bigger when I got it on Amazon. Makes sense that it was like $20. This fucking disco ball lighting up the whole fucking room. God damn. Pretty slick though, huh? Put that out there. We got the pong table up with the pong balls. A nice pong table came in the other day. Get the nice alcohol cart. People come over. Put the music on. Let your shoulders lean. Put the bam, how the disco ball going. Man, it's gonna be a fun time. Sal, Long Johns or Sizzler? I don't know what either of those. Sizzler? I don't know what either. Long Johns, like the running pants, like pants that you run in when it's cold out. I have some of those, but I don't know what Sizzler is. I don't know what either of those are. Toney and Shepard are confirmed on DraftKings. Yes, they are. Alrighty, everybody. Peace out. I appreciate you tuning in. If you're not a Patreon member, sign up down below. Get up in there. What are you waiting for? Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you all when I see you in the next one. When you make the Dollarooskies tonight. When you win on the props. When we continue the green rolling in. Even if you don't, but you're making positive EV decisions, they say, man, how'd you win that money? And you say, hey, I know football. Football knows me. How'd you lose that money? Hey, I didn't lose it. It was a positive EV decision. Variance got us tonight. The next week, month, 5 years, we're going to make money. That's the whole goal. Night by night, we might not win money. 5 years, those decisions eventually are going to lead to prosperity. Why? Because I know football. And football knows me. Somebody said pants off dance party. That's what we got right here. I'm not going to do the pants off part because I still like my job. Maybe I'll go out in retirement when I'm done with the YouTube and on-camera stuff. And one day just let it all hang out. I'll get banned for life. But that's when we're ready. We're set to go. Are you related to Eugene Levy? I've gotten that one before. Shout out Schitt's Creek. Shout out American Pie. Peace out, gang. See you in the next one. See you when I see you. Shit. Man, that was a good stream. Man, that guy Sal knows some things. Not a lot of things. But that man Sal right there. Man, if I win tonight, I'll thank him. If I lose, I'll say it was his fault. But that's the name of the game, baby. DFS.